Okay, good morning, everybody. Everybody's well. Happy Wednesday for those that are live. Happy whatever day week it is for you. Thanks so much for joining us on the boost. We've been talking about this idea of overcoming or controlling mimetic desire as a strategy for being more successful at life. If you are if you're being moved and controlled by somebody else's life, it's not going to really work out for you. And you're not going to really become great in life if you've got a lot of negative energy. It just doesn't work. You don't really see great people with a lot of negative energy. Just doesn't connect. Now you need positivity to go forward. But if a lot of your life is a lot of our lives is measuring ourselves against other people or overcoming our lacks because we have a desire we didn't know we had, we're not going to have enough energy to get stuff done. And yesterday we spoke about this idea of the eyes diet, right? We have all these diets out: the Mediterranean diet, soul food diet, keto diet. There's like a new thing every week about like a way to lose weight because someone went on like an island and saw some villagers eating berries and figured out, hey, wait a second, that's why they're so skinny, because they eat the berry diet. Just don't have tomatoes and only eat berries and like life is perfect. And everyone's like, no, you got to do this. All you got to do all day is have like strawberries and like you're going to lose 100 pounds. It's insane. Yeah, but aren't you starving? Yeah, but don't think of that. That's not the reason. The reason is because the berries have some kind of special thing that it's an enzyme, the berry diet. So here's a new diet. It's called the eyes diet. And here's how it works. You cannot control your desire. It's not in our control. There's stuff going on in our minds that is much quicker and much stronger than the conscious brain that we have to control our minds. Our minds can't control our minds. So your conscious brain most definitely cannot control your subconscious one. So as a result, the desires you have that take place mimetically because you see something and so you want something that is basically hardwired in you since you were a kid, which is how you learned everything in life, ain't going away. Just how it is. So what are we to do? Well, it begins with putting our eyes on a diet. If our mouth can get us in trouble by eating the wrong foods, so can our eyes. When we see things, they get in our system. When you watch things, it gets in your brain. You could be watching a movie and find out like you're speaking with the same slang as the characters. Well, how'd you know how to do that? Well, I don't know. I just started saying that thing. People change their lives. People go into professions. People have nightmares. People have expectations. People get divorced because they've seen so many romantic films that if it doesn't end happily ever after, they're like, there's something wrong with us. Because they've watched it so many times that the couple meets, falls in love, and by the time they're going in after 5 minutes after the wedding, all they hear is like really great music and credits, and they just assume that everything afterwards is totally good. So when they hit a wall, they're like, oh, I must have found the wrong person. People think that making money is easy because they watch a movie, and in the movie the guy goes from, and it's based on a true story, or said better, it's inspired by a true story, which means that like the characters' names are basically right and the work was in the right genre, but like everything else there's creative license. But in the movie, the guy, Will Smith, goes from not having any money and fixing those appliances with his son after his wife walked down on him to solving a Rubik's Cube in the back of some cab to getting the job at the bank to becoming wealthy. So it makes sense that if you just try hard, Of course, you'll hit any success you want. I don't know, how long does it take? In the movie, it took like 2 hours. How long could it really take? Right? When you see things, your eyes create thoughts, and your thoughts create neuroconnections, and neuroconnections live in your brain. And then you have expectations, and those expectations impact your emotions. And that's how you operate in your life. There are people that have spent time judging their spouses based on characters that are fed lines and relationships that aren't real. There are people that judge their own life by a fake life that they just happen to see. So your eyes are exposed. I told you this story about my friend who is becoming more and more connected spiritually. I don't know if I said this here. So he had called me, and him and his wife are mid-50s, maybe young 50s. COVID just hit, and the whole world shut down. And all the organizations, like Momentum and others, were putting out content left and right. This show, The Boost, started in COVID. And it started because we wanted to get out a message of hope. Lots of organizations were getting out messages of hope. And him and his wife were getting more involved, and they would watch different organizations. One is called Torah Anytime. I think I told this here before. I did. If I'm sorry. If I did it, I'm sorry. But it's now in a different context. And on this organization, Torah Anytime, which is a great organization, they had so many classes and lectures on spirituality and Judaism. And every single lecture, every single one, for, that March, April, May time, every single one was like some version of, almost everyone I should say, was some version of like, it'll be okay, it'll be great, God will be good, don't worry about it, like, we got this, stay strong, have faith, take care of your family. Everyone was like light. Not like light as in, not serious, light as in like versus darkness. So he calls me one day and he says to me, I gotta tell you the craziest thing. My kids are having a really hard time. His college kids are now home. He's like, they never were like this. They live in a nice size home. Okay, they miss their friends in school, but like, they're a family. They are, they love each other. And there's plenty of room. And then she's like, they're just struggling. They're always upset. It's just not, I don't know. I said, I don't know. So I might just see what they do all day. And like, I don't know, maybe they're just scared. I don't know. Like, look at their schedule and let me know. So he calls me back a couple of days. He goes, I got it. I'm like, what is it? He said, my wife and I are in, one room of the house. They've got a nice size home, so there's plenty of room. His wife and him, spent a lot of time, like, I don't know, maybe in the den. And they hooked up their big screen to Torah Anytime. And what they would do for most of the day is they would pick lecturers or topics, and they would just play them. They would do a little work, but they would have this on like repeat. And they're like learning and growing and, discovering, and everyone's got this like, we could do it mentality. We've gone through worse. And so for each day after learning stuff, those eyes took in images and heard words of, we can do it. And they went to bed with it'll be good. They'll go to bed, or like, well, I know it's scary, but like, or when they went to bed with, look how many people are helping, or they went to bed with, look how important life is, or whatever the lessons are. Because one day, I went to the other side of the home where my kids were hanging out. He had 2 kids home from college. One was, I think, a sophomore, one was a senior. He said they spent the whole day watching CNN. The whole day. Now, I don't know if you guys are familiar with, I'm not knocking any news organization, but in particular, if you watched CNN or saw clips in the beginning, and again, I'm not knocking any, or I'm not saying CNN versus Fox versus NBC. I'm saying just CNN probably others too, but CNN, it was really scary. It was doom and gloom. There was a ticker with all the people that are dead. They were a news organization. News organizations make their money on getting you to watch. That's how news organizations work. You watch, they get stuff, money, advertisers. Now, your brain, when it has a chance to deal with survival, the amygdala, it'll focus. So if I tell you something that's scary, you're going to watch because your brain needs to see it because it may be hurtful, it may be dangerous. It's how you're wired. If I give you good news and say, don't worry about it, everybody's okay, look how many people have recovered, you're going to turn the channel to something more entertaining. But if I tell you that people are dying, and it's true, forget if it's false, I'm telling you it's true. If I share with you the fear factors, I'm going to nestle your attention into my show, which will then drive revenue up, which it did incredibly at that time. I said my kids watch CNN all day. So their eyes took in these images of doom and gloom. And it affected how they slept and talked and ate. They were wrecks. My wife and I were growing by leaps and bounds. We couldn't have been more positive. We're ready to have a family experience. We hear the stories of take your family and hug them, and we're ready to do all this family stuff. And my kids otherwise were great like that when they were a little younger. And now, yelling and screaming at this politician and this action and this thing and that thing and doom and gloom. Why? Because of your eyes. Your eyes take in images, which then create connections, which then create emotions, which then impact your life. Now, I'm not saying that if you're in danger, you should be a Pollyanna. And I'm not saying you should never check the news. I'm just saying that what you take in really impacts you. All right, we'll talk about this. All right, everybody, have a great day. With God's help, I can't wait to see you again tomorrow.
Living on a lifeline, the world doesn't ever seem to change. Looking for the sunshine, but you're caught up in the rain. It's like your eyes are wide open, but you cannot see. You're watching life pass you by like 1, 2, 3. Walking in destruction, the winds of life blur your vision. All the devastation forever feels like you're on the run. It's time, no one else can set you free. You're locked inside, and only you have got